Baby, yeah, you know I'm in my body today. Hit that bitch, told her come through on a Saturday. Run it up, baby, yeah, the faster way. Greatness come with patience, so you know that I had to wait. Ooh, baby, yeah, you know what you do to me. And you know, bitch,
Okay, so Drew Lock has to be the future because this guy is literally built for the Broncos and everything that the Broncos are trying to achieve for the next few years. The Broncos have always been looking for this quarterback where he had a massive potential. He had a rocket arm. He was super tall because John Elway loves tall quarterbacks. He feels like tall quarterbacks are the only way to succeed for some reason. The guy even passed up on Russell Wilson just to draft a taller quarterback in Paxton Lynch. That is actually insane. But to a fault, this guy and the Broncos have all been so invested in trying to find a tall prospect that they can really groom into and really feel like he's the guy. And while many people pretty much think that's Trevor Lawrence, I honestly think it's Drew Lock. I feel like Drew Lock's the future because this guy has so much raw potential and he's only played 9 games. And even without Courtland Sutton, his number 1 receiver, even without all the guys that are getting banged up on the offensive line and on the defensive side, not having Von Miller, not even having an offensive-minded head coach to help your young quarterback, Vic Fangio is a defensive-minded head coach. So he honestly doesn't really even deal with Drew Lock that much, honestly. He just oversees the operation. I feel like if the Broncos can find a way to replace Vic Fangio and actually hire maybe an Eric Bieniemy or maybe a college head coach or maybe even a Joe Brady. I would love to see Joe Brady in Denver. That would be amazing. But just the guy that will really support Drew Lock, I feel like you don't give up on Drew Lock right now. Drew Lock has to be an absolute asset to your team because he is the guy who probably has the most untapped potential and unwritten talent on this team. I mean, the guy has a rocket arm. He has a swagger. I mean, he has so many things that not only the front office like, not only the fans love, but it really captures the locker room. And because of that, I really feel like they should not get rid of Drew Lock. They need to keep Drew Lock, even if they do not have the most successful season. And trust me, this season was pretty highly touted. This was supposed to be the year where Drew Lock really breaks out, but it was overridden with injuries. I don't think you tie Drew Lock to a fault of that. Just because the corners are hurt, Chris Harris, Vaughn, I don't feel like you tie those injuries and unsuccess into Drew Lock. Heck, Drew Lock's been hurt too. What has he only played, like, how many games this year? I mean, like, that's honestly not even fair. That's not fair to him. I think you give him at least another year, or at least a year when all the stars are aligning and all your pieces are together to where, I mean, obviously nothing's going to be perfect, but Drew Lock, I feel like, has to have the type of team around him where they can really support him. Look at Tua. Tua is not my favorite guy coming out the draft. I don't think that he's good at all, but look how he's supported. They won that game because of his support system. Drew Lock won the game because of him. He won that game by himself. Yes, the defense started to clutch up in the second quarter, but no, like, Drew Lock is the answer. I don't feel like the Broncos need to go in a different direction. I don't even think they can afford to go in a different direction because they invested so much into Drew Lock, spending that second round pick. And also, I don't think they're going to be bad enough to get a guy like Trevor Lawrence. But saying that, also, you have to take into mind that this quarterback class is probably going to be the greatest quarterback class of all time. The 2021 class is going to be literally the greatest quarterback class. You have Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Kyle Trask, Trey Lance. You have Zach Wilson. There's so many guys, and there's probably going to be at least 7 quarterbacks taken in the first round. they're all first round talents. It's insane. So I don't think you give up on Drew Lock. I think Drew Lock is probably one of the next premier guys in not only the AFC West but in the NFL. I think he can actually reach that Mahomes type of potential, and I think Lock can be better than Herbert. Obviously, Herbert's playing better right now, but I feel like Lock has the skill set to be better. They both have similar skill sets. At least Justin Herbert has probably the better wheels, and he's probably a little bit more mobile. But I feel like Drew understands the game a little bit better, and I really like his personality and psyche. That's why I feel like he has better traits than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has a rocket arm and pretty good work ethic, along with some pretty decent wheels. Now, the guy isn't super fast, but he has pretty decent wheels. But I feel like Drew Lock's traits and natural gifts are a little bit better as far as his swagger. His arm is probably top 5 right now in the NFL. Drew Lock, honestly, is going to be the staple of the Broncos franchise. As soon as he got drafted, I knew that he was the guy for the Broncos and the guy that they've been waiting for. And Drew Lock really wants to be that guy. He doesn't want to be another failure from John Elway. He wants to be the guy, and he's really committed himself to being the guy. Even in the locker room when they were down 3-24, he was the guy who took the lead, and especially in the locker room, gave the speech and went out and didn't even play good his first drive out of the speech after halftime. But after Philip Lindsay helped him piece some part of the offense together, man, he absolutely came together. Drew Lock drove his team twice down to tie it up and to win the game. There's nothing else that you can ask for Drew Lock other than that he's giving his best each and every week. And honestly, that's literally all you can ask from Drew Lock. There's a lot of injuries, but there's still a lot of hope, and there's a lot of light in the end of the tunnel for the Denver Broncos. So because of that, man, you definitely have to hang on to Drew Lock. Drew Lock has to be a staple for your franchise. If he's not, then you're just going to go into this endless cycle of drafting quarterbacks, seeing that he's not working out after a year, and then trying to replace him. I honestly think that if they do draft another quarterback and they keep Lock around, if somebody doesn't come calling for Lock, shoot, as a Viking fan, I would love to have Lock. Lock would be probably my favorite quarterback in the NFL, second favorite to Joe Burrow, but I would love to have Drew Lock, honestly. But I mean, if they did for some occasion draft a quarterback, I think Drew Lock will honestly beat him out. Like, if they drafted Kyle Trask, I feel like they would target a guy like Kyle Trask. I feel like Trey Lance is out of John Elway's radar. They're not going to be bad enough to get Trevor Lawrence. I feel like Kyle Trask is probably going to be the guy. Sam Ehlinger is going to fall a little bit. So, Kyle Trask. Who would you rather have, Kyle Trask or Drew Lock? I would take Drew Lock any day of the week, honestly. And it's no way the Jets trade out of the first pick, so that's not even an option. So, Drew Lock or Kyle Trask, I'm taking Drew Lock, and I'm using that first pick to really surround him with a better line, or maybe another piece on defense, maybe a strong safety. I know they have a really good all-pro free safety in Justin Simmons. Maybe pair him up with another safety, build that defense up, because Drew Lock's definitely going to need that. I feel like he's already been surrounded with pretty good weapons. I'm not sold on Jerry Jeudy, but at the end of the day, he's been surrounded with weapons. He still has Courtland Sutton, one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL all around. So I really feel confident in what Drew Lock has around him. He just has to put it together. And don't take in the fact that just because he has all those weapons, a lot of those guys have not been available all at once at an expense to him, because Melvin Gordon has missed some games, Phillip has missed some games, Courtland's out for the season, Jerry's missed some games, KJ Hamler's missed some games. They all haven't been on the field at once for him. So I feel like once they get all on the field at once for him, he's going to eat, and he's going to absolutely dominate. And there's no reason why Drew Lock isn't going to dominate. And I feel like he's going to end up being, when it's all said and done, the second best quarterback behind Mahomes in that AFC conference, unless, you know, the Raiders go crazy and replace Derek Carr with some stud of a quarterback. I don't know, but because Gruden loves quarterbacks, he's never satisfied with Derek Carr, it seems like. But Derek Carr is having a really good season, so I like what Derek Carr is doing. But at the end of the day, Drew Lock is the answer. It's no question about it. Drew Lock is definitely the answer.
Baby, yeah, you know I'm in my body today. Hit that bitch, told her come through on a Saturday. Run it up, baby, yeah, the faster way. Greatness come with patience, so you know that I had to wait. Ooh, baby, yeah, you know what you do to me. And you know, bitch, I ain't with that foolery. Team full of winners, so you gon' lose to me. Yeah, lose to me, hey, y'all. I'm in the store, I'm working, and bitch, I am back in my Birkin. All the gas, I'm swerving, and these people be plotting and murking.